The courtroom was silent, so silent that even the ticking clock on the far wall felt like a hammer against everyone's chest. The air was heavy with judgment, whispers, and doubt. In the center of it all stood Mark Lawson, a single dad, a quiet man with tired eyes and calloused hands, accused of something he didn't do. The prosecutor's voice sliced through the silence. "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury," he said, pacing confidently, "we have a man who assaulted an officer, a decorated officer, during a traffic stop. A man who disrespected the law and endangered his own child." The audience turned toward Mark. He didn't look angry. He just stood still, hands folded, his military posture unshaken. Sitting in the front row was his little daughter, Emily, clutching a small, worn-out teddy bear, her father's last gift before deployment years ago. The officer, Sergeant Ray Collins, sat smugly on the witness stand, his crisp white uniform and polished badge gleaming under the courtroom lights. "He was aggressive, Your Honor," Ray said. "When I asked him to step out of the car, he started shouting. He resisted. I had to defend myself." Gasps filled the room. The story sounded convincing, too convincing. Ray smiled faintly, certain of victory. After all, who would believe a struggling single dad over a respected cop? But there was one thing Ray didn't know. Mark Lawson wasn't just a single dad. He wasn't just a veteran. He was a high-ranking Navy SEAL, a man who had led classified missions across oceans, a man who had saved lives under fire while others ran for cover. Mark could have spoken up, revealed his medals, his record, his rank. But he didn't. He didn't need validation. He believed the truth would come out on its own. And yet, when the system he had once fought to defend turned against him, something inside him began to crack. The judge turned to Mark. "Mr. Lawson, do you have anything to say in your defense?" Mark took a deep breath. His voice was calm but carried the weight of 100 storms. "Your Honor," he said, "I didn't resist. I was protecting my daughter. The officer, he lied. He pushed me when I told him she was scared. That's all." The prosecutor laughed quietly. "Protecting her. By fighting law enforcement." Mark's jaw clenched. Emily's eyes filled with tears. Then, suddenly, from the back of the courtroom, a woman's voice called out, "That's not true." Everyone turned. A woman in uniform stepped forward. Her nameplate read Captain Sarah Green, Internal Affairs. "Your Honor," she said, "we've reviewed the dashcam footage from Officer Collins's car. It was deleted from the police server, but not from our backup." A murmur ran through the courtroom. The judge gestured for the video to be played. The screen flickered to life, showing the scene from that night. Mark sat in his old pickup truck, calm, explaining to his daughter why the officer had stopped them. Ray approached the car, shining his flashlight directly into Emily's eyes. "Step out of the vehicle," he barked. "Please," Mark said softly, "she's just scared. We're on our way home." But Ray shoved him, then yanked open the door. The video clearly showed Mark raising his hands, never once acting aggressively. The courtroom erupted. Ray turned pale, his confident posture collapsing. The judge slammed the gavel. "Order." Mark didn't smirk or gloat. He simply knelt beside Emily, brushing a tear off her cheek. "See, baby. Truth always wins," he whispered. But that wasn't the end. When the trial adjourned, the chief of police himself approached Mark. "Mr. Lawson," he said, his tone filled with remorse, "on behalf of the department, I'm sorry. Officer Collins will face charges. We failed you." Mark looked at him steadily. "Just make sure no other father goes through this. That's all I want." The next day, news spread everywhere. White cop exposed for lying in court against veteran SEAL. Mark became a symbol of quiet strength, of patience, not revenge. But instead of chasing fame, he went back to his old life. He repaired cars, took Emily to school, and spent evenings helping other veterans adjust to civilian life. One afternoon, while Emily was playing outside, a black car pulled into their driveway. A man stepped out, a senior Navy officer in dress blues. "Commander Lawson," he said, saluting sharply. Mark blinked in surprise. "It's been a long time since anyone called me that." The officer smiled. "The Navy hasn't forgotten you, sir. We saw what happened. Command wants to recognize your service publicly." Mark looked at his daughter, then back at the officer. "I'm honored," he said softly, "but my mission's here now. She's my command." The officer nodded respectfully. "Understood, sir." But know this, the world needs men like you, even outside the uniform. As the car drove away, Mark picked Emily up in his arms. The sun dipped low, painting the sky gold. Daddy, she asked, are you a hero? He smiled. Heroes aren't the ones who fight wars, sweetheart. They're the ones who keep fighting for what's right, even when nobody's watching. And that line, that truth, resonated with everyone who watched the video later. It wasn't just a story about a courtroom or a lie, it was about faith, truth, and the strength of quiet men who refuse to break. So, if you're watching this right now, remember this, real power isn't in your voice, it's in your choices. Stand for truth, even when you stand alone.